Sunday, February 5th, 2023, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today, we're going to look at how former Prime Minister Liz Truss has blamed powerful international actors for scuppering her plans for growth for the UK economy. Before I start, though, I'd just like to introduce you to Rudy. There he is. He arrived home yesterday. He's getting on really well. He's running around the whole place. He knows where to go. And yes, slept quite well last night. Didn't cry. And he's going to be on the live stream tonight as well. So Rudy, I'll take you back to the kitchen. You can stay with your mom while I continue this video. Many of you probably remember when the Liz Truss government came out with her mini budget on the 23rd of September. I was covering the markets quite closely. I had noticed a month or more before that bond yields were rising, gilt prices were falling, and there is a danger to the financial system. And I even warned a month before, back in August, that there was also a danger of a currency crisis for the UK, that it usually happened on the autumn equinox, which happened to be September 23rd. So what I'm trying to do here with this video is not to take away the blame from Liz Truss. I'm going to put a link to the article where she's written about her experience as Prime Minister in the Daily Telegraph. I'm going to take a link and put it under archive.ph. I've read the whole thing, and I thought it was very interesting. I thought about not reading it because I thought she was going to just try to give excuses, but she didn't. She was quite balanced. So here's the article. Liz Truss exclusive. I assumed upon entering Downing Street my mandate would be respected. How wrong I was. So before I look at a couple of parts of this article that I thought were really interesting, I want to reference President Wilson. And you might think, what's President Wilson got to do with Liz Truss? Well, this is what he said in his book entitled The New Freedom in 1913. Woodrow Wilson, quote, Illuminati. Well, this person seems to think it's the Illuminati. So this is what he says. Since I entered politics, I have chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the US in the field of commerce and manufacturing are afraid of somebody, are afraid of something. They know that there is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive, that they had not better speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. So that was Woodrow Wilson, 1913. And now I want to also go over an article in the Mises.org website, which I've gone over a few times over the years. It's by James J. Martin. I'm going to put a link to it below in the description. It says, Keynesianism loves the total state. Yeah, and you will see how that is related to Liz Truss as well. So this is what Keynes said in the introduction to his general theory book in German. I think it came out in 1936. We know what was happening in 1936. And this is what he says in the introduction. The theory of aggregate production, which is the point of the following book, nevertheless, can be much easier adapted to the conditions of a totalitarian state than the theory of production and distribution of a given production put forth under conditions of free competition and a large degree of laissez-faire. This is one of the reasons that justifies the fact that I call my theory a general theory. So I would argue that we've been under the Keynesian thumb for many decades. Some have tried to get away from the Keynesian philosophy of government spending, interference, high taxation, regulation. The Keynesians, they are statists, totalitarians, and they don't trust you or me, the free market. And I think I have to give Liz Truss a little bit of credit on that, even though she was, of course, foreign secretary during the run-up to the Ukrainian crisis. I think she didn't realize about these important forces. So we're going to look here at what she said. The first comment she made that I thought was interesting here, it says, "I am not claiming to be blameless in what happened, but fundamentally I was not given a realistic chance to enact my policies by a very powerful economic establishment coupled with a lack of political support. I assumed upon entering Downing Street that my mandate would be respected and accepted. How wrong I was. While I anticipated resistance to my program from the system, I underestimated the extent of it." And another interesting comment she made here, and this shows the international scope of this Keynesian fallacy, this Keynesian control. And I would argue, I think I made a video last year, I don't know when, that if Keynes was still alive, he would be like the darling of the World Economic Forum, because the authoritarian dirigiste, as the French call Keynesian philosophy, is part of the World Economic Forum globalist agenda, and it's totally infiltrated the UK, as Liz Truss found out the hard way. So just to finish off, this is what she says here. This high spend, high tax policy, Keynesian view, does not just prevail in the UK. We are also swimming against the international tide. There was a concerted effort by international actors to challenge our plan for growth. The IMF commented on distributional aspects rather than market stability, which it is hard to conclude was anything but politically motivated. And here's the kicker. Then there was the intervention from President Biden, who publicly voiced his disagreement with our economic policy, stating, "I wasn't the only one that thought it was a mistake." So there you go. International actors, powerful actors. So who do I think these people are? Well, of course, they're the people in charge of the central banks, the people who own the central banks behind the scenes that we don't really know. I mean, for certain who they are. Of course, they're the people behind the private banks like JP Morgan, the Rothschilds, the Goldman Sachses of the world, and all the too big to fail international banks. These are the international actors. They want to have like an authoritarian, like a technocratic system, like David Rockefeller actually mentioned in his memoirs. He even said it. He'd rather have a world that's run by top bankers and technocrats than have people free and a free market. And don't forget that David Rockefeller's, granddad, or I think he was his granddad or great-granddad, the John Rockefeller, said that he hated competition. So that's all part of this Keynesian philosophy, world economic philosophy. And I think Liz Truss learned that very quickly, who is in charge. So before I finish here, just go over her conclusion here at the end, which I thought was fairly interesting. Does this mean I've become political, that I care about politics? Well, sometimes you need to have an open mind, maybe maybe she was doing the right thing. And I was quite critical of the mini budget at the time because I thought they would have realized how precarious the bond markets were, the situation. Yields had been going up all year already. But if you read this, she didn't get very good advice. She only realized after it happened that there were problems brewing in the markets. She didn't know, of course, about LDI, just like nobody else did. I didn't know about LDI until after it happened. But I did know a month before that things were not great. The fact that yields are rising very quickly, or interest rates. So this is how she ends it. I have lost track of how many people have written to me or approached me since leaving Downing Street to say that they believe my diagnosis of the problems causing our country's economic lethargy was correct, and that they shared my enthusiasm for the solutions I was proposing. While I regret that I wasn't able to implement my full program, I am optimistic for the future, with the United Kingdom now able to steer its own course as a free nation. I'm not sure the WEF will like that. By being bold and entrepreneurial and giving people and business the freedom they need to succeed, I believe we can turn things around. There's hope for the future. So there you go. As I said, I'm doing the live stream tonight. That was just a taster of Rudy for you guys. He's going to come on the live stream as well. Rafi Farber is going to be on the live stream tonight. And I'm going to start a little earlier. It's better in the winter. I'm going to start at 8:30 p.m. London time, or 3:30 Eastern time in the US. So with that, I wish you all a great rest of the weekend. Take care. Bye.